Ada rushed through the busy village market, weaving through people selling everything from vegetables to cloth. She was in a hurry to get home before the rain started. Her mind was filled with thoughts of leaving the village someday, finding a rich man who would take her to the city, far away from the simple life she had always known. As she turned a corner, she bumped into Sola, a boy who was known around the village for his work on his father's farm. "Watch where you're going," Ada snapped, her eyes narrowing as she looked at Sola's dusty clothes and worn-out shoes. He quickly apologized, his soft voice filled with respect. "I'm sorry, Ada, I didn't see you." Ada scoffed and walked past him, not giving him a second glance. To her, Sola was just another poor village boy, someone she would never associate with. Little did she know, this simple farmer boy was hiding a secret that would soon change everything. Ada was known in the village not just for her beauty, but also for her ambition. While other girls her age were content with marrying local farmers or traders, Ada had bigger dreams. She spent hours daydreaming about leaving the village, imagining herself in a big city with tall buildings, fancy cars, and expensive clothes. Her best friend Ngozi often tried to bring her back to reality. "Ada, life isn't all about money. You need to marry someone who truly cares for you," Ngozi would say, but Ada would laugh and shake her head. "Ngozi, love won't put food on the table or buy me the life I want. I need more than love. I need a rich man who can give me everything." Despite her family's modest lifestyle, Ada believed that her beauty would one day attract a wealthy suitor. She ignored her mother's advice about humility and kindness, focusing only on finding a man who could provide her with the luxurious life she believed she deserved. On the other side of the village, Sola was busy working on his family's farm. His days were filled with hard work, tending to crops, feeding the animals, and helping his father with the heavy lifting. To the villagers, Sola was just a simple farmer's son, someone who would never leave the village. But what no one knew was that Sola came from a wealthy family in the city. Years ago, Sola had left his family's mansion to live in the village and experience life without the luxuries he had grown up with. His father, Mr. Okafor, a successful businessman, had supported Sola's decision, believing it would help him find true love. "Sola," his father had said, "you need to find a woman who will love you, not for your money." Sola had lived in the village for 2 years, working as a farmer and hiding his true identity. He was determined to find someone who would love him for his heart, not his wealth. And in his time in the village, Sola had come to admire Ada, despite her harsh attitude. One evening, Sola worked up the courage to visit Ada at her home. He had admired her from a distance for months, and though he knew she looked down on him, he couldn't help but hope she might see him differently if she got to know him better. With his heart pounding, Sola knocked on her door. Ada opened the door, surprised to see him standing there. "What do you want?" she asked, her tone cold. Sola hesitated for a moment, then gathered his courage. "Ada, I've liked you for a long time. I was wondering if you would go with me to the village festival this weekend." Ada stared at him for a moment, then burst into laughter. "You want me to go with you? A poor farmer. I can't be seen with someone like you. Do you think I'm that desperate?" Sola's heart sank, but he forced a smile and quietly said, "I understand." He turned and walked away, his heart heavy with disappointment. That night, Sola lay awake in bed, wondering if he would ever find someone who would look beyond his simple life. He had hoped that Ada might be different, but her rejection only confirmed what he had feared. People only saw what was on the outside. Not long after rejecting Sola, Ada's wish seemed to come true. One afternoon, as she strolled through the village, a shiny black car rolled into the village square. Out stepped Tunde, a tall, handsome man dressed in fine clothes. He introduced himself as a businessman from the city and immediately caught Ada's attention. Tunde wasted no time in charming Ada, telling her stories of his success in the city and how he was looking for a wife to share his wealth with. Ada was dazzled by his confidence and the expensive gifts he showered her with. She quickly forgot about Sola and agreed to go on dates with Tunde, imagining herself living in luxury and finally escaping the village. Sola watched from a distance, his heart aching as he saw Ada fall for Tunde's charms. He knew that Tunde wasn't the man he claimed to be, but Sola decided to keep his distance, knowing that Ada would never listen to him. At the village festival, Ada arrived with Tunde, dressed in a beautiful gown he had bought for her. The villagers whispered among themselves, admiring Ada's new life. As she walked through the festival with Tunde, Ada felt like a queen. She believed she had finally found the life she had always dreamed of. But as the night went on, Sola couldn't help but notice something strange about Tunde. He seemed more interested in showing off than spending time with Ada. He barely spoke to her, focusing instead on bragging about his business to the other villagers. Sola's suspicions grew, but he stayed quiet, not wanting to cause any trouble. A few days after the festival, Ada overheard a conversation that shattered her dreams. As she walked past a small group of men in the village, she recognized Tunde's voice. He was talking to one of his business partners, laughing about how he had fooled Ada into thinking he was rich. "She thinks I'm going to marry her," Tunde said with a smirk, "but as soon as I get her family's money, I'm gone." Ada froze, her heart pounding in her chest. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Tunde had been using her all along. In that moment, Ada realized she had been blinded by her desire for wealth, and she had almost fallen into a trap that would have ruined her life. After breaking off her relationship with Tunde, Ada felt a deep sense of regret. She thought about how she had treated Sola, and how she had let her pride and greed blind her to what really mattered. Ada couldn't help but wonder if Sola might have been the one all along, the kind, honest man who truly cared for her. She confided in Ngozi, who told her, "Ada, you've learned a valuable lesson. It's not too late to make things right with Sola." With a heavy heart, Ada decided to seek out Sola and apologize for how she had treated him. When Ada found Sola at his workshop, she hesitated at first, unsure of how to approach him. Finally, she gathered her courage and said, "Sola, I'm sorry for how I treated you. I was wrong, and I see that now. I hope you can forgive me." Sola looked at her for a long moment, then smiled. "Ada, I forgive you, but there's something you should know." He paused, then revealed the truth that left Ada speechless. "I'm not just a village boy. My family is one of the richest in the country. I came here to find someone who would love me for who I am, not for my money." Ada's eyes widened in shock. All this time she had been chasing wealth, not knowing that the man she had rejected was the real treasure. Though Sola forgave Ada, he explained that he couldn't be with someone who only realized his worth after learning about his wealth. Ada, heartbroken, accepted the consequences of her actions. She had learned a hard lesson about love, pride, and the dangers of chasing wealth. Sola, now ready to return to his life in the city, left the village with a clear heart, knowing that he would one day find someone who loved him for who he truly was. Ada returned to her simple life, wiser but filled with regret over what she had lost. She now understood that love and kindness were far more valuable than money and luxury.